and welcome back to the Red Source channel where we discuss issues and trends facing the oil and gas industry. If you are new to the channel, kindly like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the current trends. We have with us today Pranav Kant, a seasoned expert in the oil and gas industry. Welcome back, sir. How is your Saturday going on?
Very busy and very interesting. So it feels great to be back on the show, particularly after having to skip the previous Saturday's
Yeah.
meeting, which went only to our private clients because of the unique nature of the market. So, but
Oh.
back again to the public forum of our new episode.
All right, sir. So I will be starting off with my first question for today. In spite
Right.
of 200,000 BPT cut by OPEC Plus, crude prices fell for the week. Do you see the trend to continue for the coming week?
Yes, and this is a very interesting thing, which is kind of roiling the markets, and many analysts are taking very, I would say, extreme stands. And when the 2 million barrels per day cuts were announced, people were quick to jump to the expectations of 100 barrels and $100 per barrel price for the Brent. And as we speak, the Brent is at 91.63, lower than when this cut were announced. So what does it mean? So first and foremost, we need to understand that these are production cuts on the quotas. These are not actual production cuts. So when it comes to the actual production, September was one of the highest production months. When we say highest production month, it still was more than 3 million barrels per day below the established quota. So theoretically, if you look at it, even if you bring down the quotas by 2 million barrels per day, because already this shortage is by about 3 million barrels plus, the overall production is not impacted. But the situation is not so simple. The production quotas cut apply on a proportionate basis to all the OPEC plus members. And that's where most of the OPEC plus members would not be impacted, except mainly the Saudi, the Iraq, and the Kuwait. So the actual production cuts which are likely to be impacted ranges between about 850,000 barrels per day to 1.1 million barrels per day, depending on what kind of assumptions you take. And previous month, OPEC had already shared that the markets are oversupplied by about 1.2 million barrels per day. So that is where, in terms of the overall balance of the things, we believe the bearish sentiment, which is emanating primarily from the lower growth demand from across the world, particularly China, and which has been corroborated by the recent forecast update by IMF, where it has drawn down the GDP forecast for the world. And the IEA as well has brought down the crude consumption growth forecast. So all these trends play into the macro of the demand side economics, that the demand growth rather is coming down. While the production, still there are no big constraints because the production is still sufficient. So the market narrative about the tightness in supplies continues to remain largely misplaced. So coming back to your question as to where do we see the coming week, we see the trend going forward in terms of the bearish trend onto the prices. And we would not be surprised if in less than a month, OPEC is meeting together again to consider another round of quota cuts.
Okay. All right. So moving forward to my next question, fuel oil and gas oil prices will also seem to be weakening. Do you see revival in their prices as and when winter sets in?
Yes, that's interesting because fuel oil is very sensitive to the winter season. And because of the supply chain related complexities and the natural gas related constraints, there is a large amount of shift happening from gas to liquids. That's where the fuel oil comes into play. So we see further upside in the demand with the winter season, with the onset of the winter season. So the prices could break the bearish trend of the overall crude in the products and surprise us on the upside. So that's our assessment onto the fuel oil markets.
Okay. All right. So as always, you have shared some really great insights with us today. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for being here with us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. Kindly continue to show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for more.